Hi, I'm Thomas Pagel with the USGA.
And I'm David Rickman with the R&A. The USGA and the R&A work together to produce the rules of golf, which are printed every 4 years.
David, it's important to point out that as we work to write the rules of golf, it is a single set of rules that applies worldwide to all golfers.
With that in mind, let's have a look at the revisions for 2016. Rule 18.2b in 2012 has an automatic penalty should the ball move after the player has addressed it. There is an exception, but a tightly written exception to cover situations such as the wind causing the ball to move.
That exception's been well received, and beginning in 2016, the rationale for that exception is going to be extended. What I mean by that is anytime a ball moves, there's going to be one simple question. Did the player cause the ball to move? If the answer is yes, it's a one-stroke penalty and the player has to replace it. If the answer is no, the player is going to play the ball from its new location unless some other rule applies.
In 2012, the scorecard rules state that if a player returns a score for any particular hole that's lower than actually taken, irrespective of the reason, that player is disqualified.
In 2016, a limited exception has been introduced that states if the only reason the player's score on a particular hole was incorrect was because he or she failed to include a penalty that they did not know they had incurred, the penalty will no longer be disqualification. What will happen in that situation is the player will receive the original penalty for the breach, plus an additional two-stroke penalty for returning an incorrect scorecard.
An important reminder here is this exception is all about the failure to include a penalty the player did not know they had incurred at the time of returning the scorecard. It does not cover arithmetical breaches.
One of the rules that will be revised for 2016 is Rule 14.3, which deals with artificial devices, unusual equipment, or abnormal use of equipment. Things like these training aids.
Yes, and there are two aspects to this. The first is to the general rule, and that is where the penalty is now being reduced for a first breach. A second or repeated breach, the penalty will remain disqualification.
Well, the second change for Rule 14.3 has to do with distance measuring devices and non-conforming features on those distance measuring devices, such as slope or some other measurement that the rules prohibit. In the past, it used to be that if that device had that non-conforming information on it, you were in breach of the rule, no questions asked. In the future, players are only going to be penalized if he accesses or uses that information.
Another revision is the introduction of a rule prohibiting anchored strokes. That be whether the club is directly anchored with the club or the gripping hand, or through the creation of an anchor point.
Well, and David, with Rule 14.1b, the important thing to remember is that it's not an equipment rule. Now what that means is that all clubs that are currently conforming can still be used. Now likewise, it's only a prohibition against anchored strokes. So if a player were to use a long putter, it's just a matter of taking that gripping hand in the club off the body. Still a wide variety of strokes available to the player and a wide variety of gripping styles. While there are 4 primary changes that people are focused on for 2016, the rules changes just are not limited to those.
There are 2 examples of rules we've clarified. Rule 3.3, which is the rule in stroke play that allows a player doubtful of their options to play a second ball, and equally so Rule 26.2, where a player is playing from within a water hazard, is unsuccessful in that, and what options can they use?
Well, David, those are great examples because as the governing bodies, I know both of our committees are always focused on trying to make the rules easier to understand for golfers to apply throughout the world, and those are 2 great illustrations.
Absolutely right. So on behalf of the R&A and the USGA, thank you very much for watching.
For more information on the 2016 rules changes, visit our websites at rna.org and usga.org.